Hi there everyone, this is Damari and you're here watching the Shadow Work Tarot reading for mid to late August 2019 for the sign of Scorpio. So just to begin with, to let you know that I will be drawing cards from the Dark Mirror Oracle deck, and the reason for this is because it's particularly good for doing the shadow work. It has different cards that represent different aspects of the human psyche, more the darker aspects. So it really helps you to process all of those thoughts, feelings, behaviours and circumstances that are surrounding you, and just that darker energy that's lying just beneath the surface, so you can really tackle those issues and put them to rest. So particularly good for this kind of work. Then following that, I'll be drawing from the Wild Unknown Tarot so that you can get a little bit more clarity in relation to that. So let's get stuck in. So what do we have for Scorpio for mid to late August 2019? What are the shadow aspects that they're currently contending with? And I usually pull two cards from this deck so I get a better insight as to what's going on, because as you know, there's never just one thing in isolation that we're having to deal with. So it's just good to have a little bit more information so we can see how that applies, how that may apply even to your current circumstances. Okay, interesting. So you have the Calling the Storm card and the Masquerade card. So I'm just going to read from the Dark Mirror booklet to give you a bit of background information as to what those cards represent, and then we can apply it on a practical level. So, going dark. There is time to find and release our power, like a spring that had been compressed to the point that it has lost the memory of motion and movement. Yet there is power inside it. Finding it is called empowerment. It starts from the belief in our power, in our ability to cope, to fight, to endure, to overcome a challenge. However, too often we are encouraged to see empowerment as something that happens only within, in our psychological space. We are not necessarily islands. We can borrow the power of the world around, the context, the environment, the expectations. We do not control the storm, we just call it. To call the storm, we need not to fear it, and this is what will make us strong. After the storm, there is always sun. So if the sky has been grey for too long a time, it's time to not fear the storm, but to embrace it. It will grow up and devour our chains and our jailers, and it will hurt us as well, but it will be healthier than just stare at the chilly rain. We can restart only when we let ourselves end. Okay, so you'll also see in relation to these cards two moon phases either side. They represent also the different stages of grieving. Okay, so the moon phases correlate various stages of grieving, and in this case that's the bargain stage. The third quarter moon phase represents that. And what that's basically telling us here is that you have been through some challenges as of lately, things that are very emotionally draining, and you've reached the point where you've been staring into the abyss, wondering where do you go from here. You've been feeling lost, and you've been feeling just completely emotionally devoid at this point. I think you've just kind of reached that end with it all. You've been through all of the emotions and you've just reached numbness. So now, rather than trying to force yourself into a particular state of being, you're just kind of like clearing all the energy out and just letting, the cards fall where they lie, essentially. Because, you just can't, there's no other alternative, right? You've been through it all, and now you just need to clear out all of that energy, all of that baggage, and just see what happens. As it says, like, you don't control the storm, all you do is summon it, right? So you don't have all the information to know what will be the consequences of that, but it's something that's necessary anyway in order for you to move on. It feels very much for me, this card I kind of associate with purging. It's like the purging of emotion, the purging of negative circumstances, negative influences, negative feelings that you've kept bottled inside for too long. It's just bringing everything up and just letting it be wherever it may be. Okay, so just so you know how that applies. So we'll go to the next card now, which is the Masquerade card. And yeah, so it's interesting that you pulled these two together, because that kind of indicates that there's a level of self-deception there, but we'll go into that in just a moment. So going dark, there is often guilt in taking the mask of Don Juan or Donna Juan. The seducer is not a master of love, neither of manipulation. He is the master of the ephemeral, of what is fleeting and brief and transient to the extreme. He is the master of the moment, and as such, he forgot all other kinds of eternity. There is guilt if you care, because you are not building. There is guilt out of loss, because you are not treasuring. There is guilt out of indifference, because when you don't care, you cheat yourself of meaning and value. Sometimes there is guilt in the selflessness, in the desire itself, in everything leading to pleasure, as if the only pleasure that can be sacred are only those labelled as such. The masquerade is a dance. It is a road that goes in circles and ebbs and flows, and always ends with the first light. Before the time comes, hold it tightly. When the time goes, the time comes, let it go. Okay, and that's very much associated with the bargaining stage also. So that's the thing, like, because things haven't gone the way you wanted, you're kind of settling for the best you can get out of this circumstance, right? So because you've been through all these emotions, because you feel like, you know, you need to purge, so while you're purging and wanting to purge those emotions and just see where things lie and not have to deal with the consequences, you're kind of throwing yourself into this need for hedonistic distraction, right? So it may be, again, that you're going, it may be that you're going out quite a lot, you're spending a lot of time with very surface level people. It could be that you're spending time around those that make you feel good about yourself purely for that reason. You know, you could be dating people without any real context to it. It could be many things. But I feel like it is very much geared around that you're kind of using your attractiveness and maybe your charm and your charisma to dazzle others as a means of distracting yourself from how you're truly feeling, because you're feeling kind of just drained, numb, just depleted, and you just want to purge all of those emotions and just be done with it and see what happens. So yeah, I feel like there's a level of self-deception here, that, you know, you're trying to use this as a mask, hence masquerade, right? You're trying to use these, you know, surface level pleasures to mask how you truly feel and what really needs to be done, the work that needs to go on. It's not that you're not doing it, you are doing that, but you may be investing more time into this than you are in this, and that's where your focus needs to be, in the purging, so that you can heal. It's not saying don't do this if that's what you want to do, you know. It can serve a purpose, of course, but it's just saying that don't get too caught up in this, because that's not what's actually going to help you move into calmer waters, into feeling renewed, rejuvenated, and you know, transition into a place of bliss, right? So that's what I'm just getting from this combination so far. But let's go to the tarot and see if we can get, straight away, see if we can get more information. as to what's going on here. So what circumstances are you facing this month, Scorpio? Because I know you're still feeling those emotions, but I think because you've been so overwhelmed by it, you're just at that point now where you want to purge. You just don't really want to feel them anymore, go through the same cycles with it anymore, because you just keep going around and around through the same cycle of grieving. Okay, and we'll pull the final set of cards for the last week of August. And yeah, you're dealing with some heavy energy still though, I can see that. And that's the thing, it will take time. It's not, you're not going to feel instantly better. It will take time. It's going to take a bit of work as well, of course. And you do have to be mindful of the distractions, because they do not really help in the long run. They might give you something else to think about for a while, and in that moment that's fine, but you're still going to have to come back and do this work. So don't get too caught up in, the fun times. Even just saying, it wasn't card support, but the devil did the devil card did flash in reverse for you. So it's saying that that's not going to bring you anything meaningful. It's just a distraction. So do be aware of that. Okay, let's get to it. So to start with, you've got the 10 of Swords in the upright. So that tells me that you've already been through the absolute mill of it. You've been through all of the emotions associated with this situation, and it's just deaded. You've kind of can't feel anything anymore. You can't really see up from down. You don't know how to move forward. In terms of your emotions, but you know that the circumstances had to come to an end. It couldn't go anywhere else. You've tried everything already, and it's only led to disaster. So you know that it's time to let it go and just see where the dust settles, and pick yourself up and see what can be done from there. So next you have the 3 of Wands in reverse. So yeah, you know what you want, what matters to you. You know what you care about, and you're really longing for a more meaningful connection. You want to feel whole and complete again within yourself. I think you don't just long for it outside of yourself. I think you really want to feel that. Maybe that's why you're doing this so much, because you just want to feel good in yourself again. But that's not the kind of good that you really want. You want to actually feel good in yourself. You want to feel really connected with your higher aspects, your higher self. And at the moment you're not, because your ego has just been so badly damaged that you're just trying to patch it with these surface level things. But ultimately that's not what's going to do the trick. You have to go within and really connect with your higher self and ask for that healing from yourself. Connect with whatever energies that you usually connect to get that kind of energy, and call upon it because you need it. And you can get that from yourself also if you really connect. Take time out to meditate and connect with yourself again, because I feel like that's what you're not doing. You don't want to take time out and do that, because then you're worried about getting caught back into that cycle of feeling the emotions again and going through the whole process again, but it's not like that. I think you've kind of hit the wall with it already, but you really need to just, sit with yourself, take some time out and sit with yourself, and start doing the affirmations, create a mantra for healing, and just constantly repeat that and believe in that. Make that your source of strength. Know that better days are coming, but you have to be really careful with how you treat yourself right now. You have to be careful with the thoughts you have towards yourself, the feelings, the words that you speak about yourself are really important as well, because your ego is just so fragile at this time. Okay, and next you have the Ten of Cups in reverse. So it's just summarizing everything we've just said. I've just said, rather. You're not saying anything, you're watching. But it summarizes everything that I've just spoken about. That, it's really just, there is nowhere to go from this without doing this purging first. Once you do the purging, you'll be able to start to reconnect with how you truly feel, what you truly desire. And then you can see what paths lay ahead of you. But right now you're just kind of biding your time and avoiding having that time and conversation with yourself. But that's what you really need to do, because you're absolutely spent at this point. That's what I can see here, that you're spent. You're willing to do the purging and let things just fall wherever they lie, but you have to have the inner conversation as well, because that's what's going to help you with your healing. When you take some time out and really become, I would say, get acquainted with yourself again. You have to reacquaint your ego with your higher self, because you've been at odds lately by some of the choices that you've made, and some of the things that have come about as a result of this situation. So you really need to reconnect on that level. That should be your priority at this point. So this is what's going on this week, and I feel like you may have a bit of an outpour going into the weekend. Maybe you'll drink too much, and then that will kind of have you feeling back into those emotions again. So do watch your drinking if you do go out, because that's going to trigger it again. So rather, it would serve you best if you actually don't go out and just spend some time with yourself and really, like I said, reconnect with your higher self. Okay. So moving into next week, we have the World card. So again, this is I feel like this is doing inner travel, not outer travel. I don't feel like this is you going out in the world, although you may have plans to go somewhere very soon. I feel like this is more, I feel like you probably have some plans of going somewhere. Or maybe you'll spend some time with some friends or family to help you with this process. But I feel like more than anything, this is the inner work. This is you exploring your inner world, who you are, rediscovering who you are again, because you're going through some changes as well. This situation came about in order to help you see more clearly what it is that you care about. What are your principles? What do you stand for? What will you accept? What will you not accept? How will you treat yourself? How will you treat others? What would you do differently if you were in a similar circumstance? All of these things. So I feel like you're really going inward, that you're going to have this really intense conversation with yourself, and that you're going to start to uncover certain things about yourself that you've been kind of running away from, and trying to, and you realize that you can't take solace in others anymore, because actually there's a lot of things that you need to address here and now within yourself. And then going into the middle of the week, you have the Daughter of Swords in reverse. So that is the Page of Swords in reverse. So I feel like, you're going to feel quite fragile. It's going to feel new and strange and weird. And, you know, while you still have that urge to just not take this approach with it, you know you kind of have to. Because otherwise, you know, you're just going to be doing yourself more damage in the long run. So you're kind of stepping into this unknown territory, you know, with some hesitancy. But, you know, you know that it will make you a stronger person for it as well. You may be already making some lifestyle changes. You may be watching what you're drinking, what you're eating, you know, things like that. You may be very discerning of who you spend your time with now for that reason. Yeah, interesting. And then going into the later part of the week, next week, you have the Five of Wands. So, yep, you're still going to be feeling quite lost with it all. You're going to feel like maybe you have some communication with someone. Could be a family member, could be a partner, could be a colleague. And, you know, wires get crossed. You know, they kind of say something unknowingly triggering you in relation to this. Even though they may be just trying to help, but they might actually make it worse. Or it could be that whoever's involved in this circumstance tries to get in touch with you and they're really trying to push it down a path, or, you know, they're feeling lost and, you know, they want you to give them that clarity, which you're not ready to give yet. It could also be that you're asking for clarity because you don't feel like you have all the information that you need to move forward. You may feel like there's too much going on right now to really process what you feel and think about a situation. You may have too many other things that are demanding of your time to really sit with yourself, but you're going to have to make the time anyway. You know, there's no way around it if that's the case. Or it could be that you have, like, you could have a family and, you know, your kids are being very demanding right now and you just can't give them the full attention because you've just got too much on your plate right now, I feel like, for some of you. So it's the case of you're going to have to find some time to sit with yourself in these coming weeks. The sooner the better, because otherwise you're just delaying your healing even further. So that's the thing. You have to prioritize yourself in this time, even if that does mean cancelling plans, even if that does mean rescheduling, or if it means taking some time out of your work, or you know, restructuring your day, whatever it is, you're going to have to do that, because if you don't, it's going to have a massive impact on that anyway. You'll just get to a point where you can't even do those things. So it's important that you take the time now so that you can really work on, you know, how you're feeling about this situation, how you feel about yourself, and just really heal your wounds, because I feel like you were very wounded. And there's a lot of, like, sadness there. So you need time to, like, process that and to let go of those emotions and see things with a fresh pair of eyes. Okay? So let's look at last week then, the last week of August. And you have the Eight of Swords in the upper end. So yeah, this is very much, you see how the butterfly is, like, in the cocoon and it's nearly ready? That's where you want to head to, right? But unless you do the work, you can't do that, because, you know, you've fought all your battles already, and, you know, now this is the aftermath. This is like trying to deal with the consequences of all that's transpired. I feel like you're not in the thick of it anymore. You've already come out the other side of it, but you're not through, you're not on safe landing yet. You're going into this cocoon phase of your sort of grieving process. You're just going inward and really just healing. That is the overall feel of this reading. Is it's time to heal, and that's exactly what you need to do. You need to kind of, like I said, let things lie wherever they lie, but really focus on doing that inner work so that you can come out of it renewed, and really start to live in a way that's more aligned with the things that matter most to you. Okay? So next you have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. It's funny how some of these cards have been coming up constantly for everyone, but it makes perfect sense when you look at all the transits we've had recently. Everyone's dealing with some heavy stuff at the moment, but more so, some more than others, of course, but it's just interesting. Certain cards keep reappearing. But yeah, you have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So yeah, I feel like here in this instance, not making a choice is also a choice, right? Not making a choice is also a choice. So if someone is telling you that, you should just move on with your life, and you should just get on with it and leave it all behind and, find a new circumstance, like, you don't have to heed their advice, That's important to know. You don't have to heed that advice. Take the time you need to heal. Whatever time you need to get to where you need to be, that's the time you need to have. Because it's not, it's different for everyone. Every circumstance is different, So you need to take the time it takes so that you do feel renewed, so that you do feel whole again, and that you are able to give the things and the people that matter to you the attention they deserve, right? But you can't do that if you're coming from a place of being, my glass is empty, right? Because that's where I feel like you are right now. It's not even that your glass is half full. Your glass is empty right now. That's how you feel. So you've got nothing to pour into anyone else at this point. So you need to refill your glass. And I feel like that's what this card is saying in this particular spread. That fill your glass first and then you can pour. And you can choose whose glass you fill or you pour into. But right now you need to fill your glass for yourself. Okay? I hope that makes sense. I probably really fluffed that up in terms of the analogy, but you get what I'm saying, okay? And then finally you have the Five of Pentacles. So I feel like this is how you feel right now. You see how sad and wilted this poor rose is. Beautiful otherwise, but just really looking quite sad. I feel like this is you. This is what you're embodying right now. That even though you have such beautiful characteristics, you're a beautiful person inside and out, you're wilted right now because of everything that's transpired and these lingering emotions and circumstances. It's just really left you feeling wilted like this. But it's important to know that this won't stay. You won't be in this position forever. Like, this is how you feel right now because there's a lot going on and you have a lot to process. But this is temporary. This is a temporary state. You will be blooming again when you've done the work and you've given it the time you need. You will blossom. You will have that rebirth. You will grow as a result of this. You're not just going to wither and die. You're going to have to be careful at this time because you are going to be attracting a lot of attention. So you're going to have to really think about the kind of connections that you wish to be having and who you spend your time with, because you're going to pick up on a lot of those energies. So it's really important that you just spend time with those who are going to be supporting and uplifting you rather than expecting something from you. Okay, so I'm just going to pull the last card now to give me the overall energies for the month. So Mother of Wands. So yeah, I mean, that's actually very positive, and it's interesting that it's come out there. This is part of your transformation, actually. You're going through a significant change, and it's going to also change how you approach your relationships with other people moving forward. Not just in any romantic sense, but this could be friends, family, dating as well, but work, on every level pretty much. And it's also going to change how you view yourself. I think that it's going to be giving you an opportunity to open up and explore the depths of your being, because I feel like you haven't really had the opportunity to do that yet, or you have, but you've not been focusing on that because you've been so distracted by surface level aspects of your character that you've not really given the depths much thought. And it's time to do that now. This is why these circumstances come about, and this is why you're going through this transition, so that you are brought into a space where you have to address those things, and you have to start looking within for the answers, and looking within for that love and comfort and security, and to really connect with your higher self. I think that's the main message here, is to really begin the inner work, do the healing, give it time, and have that inner conversation with your higher self, because it's waiting for you. It's waiting to have that open line of communication. So now's the time to reach out for that. It's there waiting to welcome you with open arms. So I think that should be where your focus lies, rather than going out drinking with friends or meeting the perfect stranger, right? So I hope that helps. I hope that helps you to clarify what's going on and why you feel the way you do. And, it's important to know that it's not going to last. You may be feeling like this poor wilted flower right now, but it is temporary. Soon you will be the Mother of Wands. You've just got to give it time to do the work you need to do. And yeah, you'll be well on your way. Alright, Scorpio, so thanks again for watching this video. And, do leave your comments in the box below. I'd love to know your thoughts and how this applies to your circumstance, if it does. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. It'd be great to have you as part of my new little community. As I said, this is a brand new channel, so there'll be many more readings of different sorts coming up very soon. So do stay tuned for that. And thank you once again. See you soon.